You've felt this before. There's something you know you should be doing, something important, something that could actually change things for you, but you keep putting it off. Not because you don't have time, but because you don't start. You scroll, you delay, you distract yourself. And if you're honest, you know exactly what you're avoiding. So the question is why?
Yeah. So that is exactly what we are taking on in this deep dive. Our mission today is to explore the invisible forces holding you back from your highest potential.
Right.
We are drawing entirely on the profound insights from a book called The War of Art by Steven Pressfield. And we are going to look directly at you, not at society, not at the world, just you listening right now.
Mm-hmm.
You and the invisible silent battle you are fighting every single day when you try to sit down and just, do the work that matters most to your soul.
Because you have identified that you are avoiding something vital. I mean, you know what it is. You have a vision of the person you might become, the work you could accomplish,
Yeah.
the realized being you were meant to be. But there is this massive, just a massive wall standing between the life you are living right now and that unlived life within you. And Pressfield gives this force a name. He calls it resistance.
Resistance, right. And right now, you probably tell yourself you are just being lazy. You tell yourself, oh, you just lack discipline today.
Or you're just tired.
Exactly. You think it is a passive flaw in your character. But the text insists that this avoidance is not a passive state at all. It is an active, self-generated, tangible energy field. It is a repelling force designed to keep you exactly where you are.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I have to admit I struggle with calling it an active force. Laziness feels passive, right?
Yeah.
It feels like a lack of energy. So how is this active?
Well, think about what happens when you sit down to start that incredibly important project. Suddenly you don't feel tired. You suddenly feel an overwhelming, urgent need to, clean your baseboards.
Oh.
Or organize your digital photo library from 5 years ago.
Yeah, you suddenly have so much energy.
Exactly. You have massive amounts of energy, but that energy is actively being deployed to push you away from the work. And there is a fascinating rule about how this repelling force operates. It only opposes in one direction. It only kicks in when you try to move from a lower sphere to a higher one.
Meaning it only attacks you when you are trying to elevate yourself.
Right. If you were currently in Calcutta, say, devoting your life to working with a charity foundation, and you suddenly decided to abandon your life's calling to become a telemarketer,
A telemarketer, right?
you would not feel this force at all. It would give you a free pass to descend. You only feel the friction when you try to rise.
Which explains why you don't feel any friction when you decide to just sit on the couch and watch 4 hours of television.
None at all.
But the moment you reach for your notebook or, your running shoes, it feels like you're walking through wet cement.
Yeah, because it is fueled entirely by your own fear. What's fascinating here is that it has no power of its own. It literally feeds on the fear you give it, but because of that, you can actually use your fear as a tool.
Like a compass.
Yes, your fear acts like an infallible compass. Think about a magnetized needle floating on oil. It always points north. In your life, the degree of fear you feel equates exactly to the strength of this resistance. The more scared you are of a specific calling, the more certain you can be that you absolutely must do it.
I love that. Because if this project meant nothing to you, if it was not deeply tied to the evolution of your soul, you would not feel any resistance at all.
You'd just be indifferent.
Right. The paralysis you feel right now is actually the ultimate proof of how much this matters to you.
Precisely. The fear tells you what is true.
But wait, let me push back on that, because that makes absolutely no sense from a logical standpoint.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine a magnetic force field that only gets stronger the closer you get to the core of your true self. If this fear is a compass pointing to your true north, and your brain knows that doing this work will fulfill you, why do you actively flee from it?
Yeah.
Why is your default defense mechanism to run in the opposite direction of the exact thing that will save you?
Because you run, because facing your true potential is terrifying. I mean, if you sit down and do the work, you risk failing. You risk finding out you are not as good as you hoped. You risk exposing your true self to judgment. So your brain creates this repelling force to protect your ego from that vulnerability. And this force is, it's insidious.
Insidious.
It is a shapeshifter. You expect it to look like pure terror or obvious self-sabotage, but it rarely presents itself that way.
No, it presents as plausible distraction.
Yes, plausible distraction. It offers you a cheap, immediate fix that numbs your soul's calling. You choose the easy things over the meaningful ones because the easy things soothe the anxiety of the terrifying blank canvas. Like, have you ever noticed how the moment you decide to finally commit to your project, suddenly you feel the urge to create a soap opera in your life?
You mean like suddenly picking a fight with your partner over something incredibly petty?
Exactly. You pick a fight, you bring home a friend who constantly needs rescuing, you start playing the victim. Or you just default to temporary gratification. You scroll relentlessly, you buy things you don't need, you pour a drink.
Yeah.
You actively seek out pain-free artificial tension. It is vastly easier to get into a petty argument or to obsess over the news or to self-medicate than it is to face the terrifying void of your own potential.
Because when you are arguing about who forgot to empty the dishwasher,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to think about the book you aren't writing
Right.
or the business you aren't starting. You get to feel engaged, you get an adrenaline rush without actually risking anything that matters.
You invent the drama to mask the avoidance.
And the sneakiest trap of all is rationalization.
Oh, 100%.
Because the lies you tell yourself are so convincing. You tell yourself you cannot start writing today because your desk is messy and needs to be reorganized. You tell yourself you cannot launch your business because your inbox is full and you need to clear it out first so you have a clean slate. And the genius of this self-deception is that your excuses are often actually true.
They are. Your desk really is messy. Your inbox really is full.
Right. You really do have errands to run. But they mean nothing. They are just spin doctoring for your fear. The text brings up Leo Tolstoy. He wrote War and Peace.
A massive, monumental achievement.
And he did it while having 13 children.
13 children.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's insane.
I can barely focus on sending a single email if I can hear a lawnmower outside. Think about the noise, the chaos, the constant demands of 13 children in a house. Yet he still managed to write War and Peace. Your excuses about needing perfect silence or a clear schedule are entirely valid, but they are completely irrelevant to whether or not you do your work.
Yeah, and there's another even deeper layer of distraction here, and it is the endless pursuit of healing.
What do you mean by that? How can healing be a distraction?
Well, you convince yourself that you are broken. You tell yourself that you need to resolve all your past trauma, fix your entire personal life, or find the absolute perfect support system before you are ready to do your work.
Ah, I see.
You treat your life like a condition that must be perfectly cured before you can take a single creative step.
Okay, but let me push back a little. Isn't it healthy to want to work on yourself? To, go to therapy or try to figure out your baggage?
It is healthy for your personal life. But the text makes a profound distinction here. The part of your life that needs healing is your personal life. But the part of you that creates your core, your genius, is already bulletproof.
Wow, bulletproof.
It is soundproof, waterproof, and uncorrupted by anything your parents did or anything your past experiences did to you.
So why do you obsess over healing instead of creating?
Because if you label yourself as broken, you are off the hook. If you are constantly working on yourself, you have the ultimate unassailable excuse for why you aren't doing the work.
Right.
You do not need to be perfectly healed to do your work. In fact, the more troubles you have, the richer that creative part of you becomes. Waiting for a perfectly healed state is just another brilliant disguise for your avoidance.
Which brings me to a very pointed question for you, listening right now. Are you creating trouble in your life simply because it is easier than facing the work you know you need to do?
Yeah, think about that.
Are you leaning on your friends and family for support, secretly wanting them to validate your endless delays? The text shares an incredible dream a woman had when her life was careening out of control.
Oh, the bus dream.
Yes, the bus dream. In her dream, she was a passenger on a bus, and Bruce Springsteen was driving.
The boss.
Exactly, the boss. And suddenly, Springsteen pulls the bus over, hands her the keys, and bolts. He just leaves. She panics. She looks around at the other passengers, but no one is going to step forward. So she takes the wheel herself, and to her amazement, she realizes she can actually drive the bus.
It is a profound realization.
The dream was telling her that the boss of her psyche was handing over control. No one else is going to drive your life. Your support system can wave from the sidewalk. They can cheer you on. But you are the only one who can take the wheel. If you sit in the passenger seat waiting for someone else to drive, you're going to sit there forever.
And since you now recognize that your distractions, your drama, and your rationalizations will never end, you must realize that waiting for a perfect time is a complete illusion.
It doesn't exist.
You will never feel perfectly ready. The fear is not going to magically vanish. The only way through this massive, invisible wall of resistance is immediate, unglamorous action.
But how? I mean, that is incredibly easy to say. Just take action. But when you are sitting frozen at your desk, when the resistance feels like a physical weight on your chest, just doing it feels impossible. What is the actual shift you have to make?
The shift happens by turning pro in your own life. Think about your day job, the job you might not even like. You show up every single day. You show up when you have a headache. You stay on the clock until the job is done. You accept that you have to perform, regardless of your mood.
If I only went to my day job on the days I felt incredibly inspired, I would be fired by Wednesday.
Exactly. So why do you treat your deepest calling, your life's actual purpose, with less respect than a job you only do for a paycheck?
It hits hard.
You act like an amateur with your soul, waiting for the heavens to open and inspiration to strike, while you act like a hardened, disciplined professional for your boss. You have to take that lunch pail, hard hat mentality you already possess and apply it to your true calling.
But when I think about my calling, I am terrified of failing.
Yeah.
At my day job, the expectations are clear. With my calling, I feel like an imposter. I am waiting until I feel confident enough to start.
Yeah, but if you wait until you are no longer afraid, you will be waiting in your grave. Overcoming fear is a total myth. You will never not be afraid. The text points out the legendary actor Henry Fonda. Even when he was 75 years old, he still threw up in his dressing room before going on stage.
75. Wait, after an entire lifetime of acting, he didn't get over the fear.
Never. The terror was still there, just as strong as day one. The difference is that a professional cleans up, wipes their mouth, and marches out onto the stage anyway.
Wow.
You must act in the face of fear. And when you sit down and finally commit to the work, a massive psychological shift happens. You move away from a hierarchical mindset and you move into a territorial mindset.
Well, hold on, I need you to break that down. What does a hierarchical mindset actually look like in your daily life?
Well, a hierarchical mindset means you are constantly looking around. You are evaluating yourself based on what others think. You look up the ladder at those ahead of you and down the ladder at those behind you. You ask yourself, will they like this? Will this get applause? Will this make me look successful?
So you're constantly seeking validation.
Yes, you're obsessed with rank. And when you operate in a hierarchy, the resistance paralyzes you because you are terrified of losing your status.
So you are basically outsourcing your worth to an audience that hasn't even seen your work yet.
Precisely. But when you sit down and do the work, you shift into a territorial mindset.
And what is a territory?
A territory is a space you claim simply by doing the work. Think about a gym rat. The gym is their territory. They don't go there to impress the dumbbells.
Right.
They go to sweat. They go for the act itself. A territory sustains you. When you enter your territory, whether that is a blank canvas, a keyboard, or a garden, you do the work for the love of the work itself. You put the effort in, and the territory feeds you energy back, regardless of whether anyone else ever sees it, praises it, or likes it on social media.
You are doing it because the act of doing it is the reward, not
Yeah.
the applause.
Yes. And here is where the absolute magic happens, the magic of making a start. As soon as you finally sit down, as soon as you commit and strike the first key, paint the first stroke, or take the absolute smallest first step, that repelling force field cracks. It is like you peck through a shell. Unseen forces suddenly step in to help you.
Whether you call it providence, inspiration, or just the deepest, most capable parts of your own subconscious mind, something begins to organize your thoughts. The ideas start flowing. The paragraphs write themselves. The solutions present themselves. But they do not come while you are pacing the room. They do not come while you are organizing your pens. They only come after you sit down and act.
Because when you finally sit down and do your work, you become a magnetized rod. You start attracting insights, serendipity, and energy that you could never access from the couch. The heavens, the muses, the deepest genius inside your DNA, whatever you want to call it, it only rewards the working stiff. It hates the prima donna who waits for the perfect mood.
You do not need to be perfectly healed.
Yeah.
You do not need to have your inbox at 0. You do not need to be completely free of fear. You just need to become a professional, look at the blank page, and begin.
You are fighting a war against an invisible enemy that wants to keep you exactly as you are. It wants to keep you small. But you have everything you need to defeat it. The exact moment you decide to stop negotiating with your excuses and simply do the work.
So let's bring this right down to the core truth of your situation. You are never going to feel fully ready. The fear that sits in your stomach right now is never going to go away. In fact, it proves how much your calling matters.
Yes, it does.
And your distractions, the endless scrolling, the personal drama, the perfectly logical excuses about your messy desk, they are just lies you tell yourself to avoid the terrifying weight of your own potential.
Your potential is sitting right there, waiting for you to simply claim your territory and start.
If you were the last person on Earth, with no one left to impress, no one to judge you, and no one to make excuses to, would you still be putting this off, or would you finally just sit down and begin?